Taking responsibility is one of the most fundamental principles of building a better life. It is the foundation upon which growth, success, and personal fulfillment are built. Without it, you remain at the mercy of external forces, constantly shifting blame onto others, circumstances, or bad luck. But when you embrace responsibility, you reclaim control over your destiny, acknowledging that while life is undoubtedly difficult, you have the power to respond to its challenges with strength and purpose. To understand responsibility, you must first recognize that the world is not fair. You will encounter obstacles, setbacks, and injustices. People will betray you. Institutions will fail you. Life will not hand you what you think you deserve. But what matters is not what happens to you. It is how you respond. Too many people fall into the trap of victimhood, believing that because they have been wrong, they are justified in their stagnation. This is a dangerous mindset. It breeds resentment, bitterness, and inaction. The moment you decide that your problems are someone else's fault is the moment you give up your ability to solve them. Taking responsibility does not mean denying the reality of external difficulties. It does not mean pretending that you have absolute control over everything in life. What it does mean is that you acknowledge your role in shaping your future. It means looking at your circumstances honestly and asking, what can I do to improve this? Instead of dwelling on what you cannot change, you focus on what is within your power. This shift in perspective is transformative. It turns obstacles into challenges rather than excuses. One of the most common ways people avoid responsibility is through blame. It is easier to point fingers than to look inward. People blame their parents for their shortcomings, their teachers for their failures, their employers for their lack of success. They blame the government, society, their upbringing, or bad luck. But none of these things can change their present reality. What can change their reality is action. No matter where you start, there are steps you can take to improve your situation. Even if the odds are against you, even if you have suffered immense hardship, you still have choices. You can choose discipline over laziness, effort over excuses, and progress over stagnation. Another way people avoid responsibility is by making excuses. They convince themselves that they are too old, too young, too inexperienced, or too disadvantaged to pursue what they want. Excuses provide comfort. They allow you to justify your lack of action. But comfort is the enemy of growth. Progress requires discomfort, sacrifice, and the willingness to push through difficult circumstances. The only way to overcome excuses is through action. Even the smallest step forward is better than standing still. Taking responsibility also means accepting the consequences of your actions. If you make a mistake, own it. Do not hide from it, deny it, or blame others. Instead, learn from it. Mistakes are inevitable, but they are also valuable. They provide lessons that can shape you into a stronger, wiser person if you are willing to accept them. The problem is that many people fear failure so much that they refuse to take risks. They avoid challenges because they do not want to deal with the possibility of falling short. But avoiding responsibility for failure means avoiding the opportunity for growth. In personal relationships, responsibility plays a crucial role. It is easy to blame others for conflicts, to insist that the problem lies with them and not with you. But relationships, whether romantic, familial, or professional, require self-awareness and accountability. If you are constantly in conflict with others, if you find yourself surrounded by broken relationships, it is worth considering your role in this situation. Are you being honest? Are you treating others with respect? Are you making an effort to improve yourself? Blaming others will never fix a relationship, but taking responsibility for your own behavior can. Taking responsibility extends beyond individual actions. It also applies to how you manage your time, your health, and your ambitions. No one else will take care of these things for you. If you are out of shape, it is not your genetics that are to blame, it is your habits. If you are unfulfilled in your career, it is not your boss's fault, it is your failure to seek something better. If your life lacks meaning, it is not because the world is empty, it is because you have not defined a purpose for yourself. These are harsh truths, but they are necessary. The moment you accept that you are responsible for your own well-being, you empower yourself to change it. One of the greatest benefits of taking responsibility is the sense of control it provides. When you blame external factors for your struggles, you become a passive participant in your own life. You feel powerless, waiting for circumstances to improve on their own. But when you take ownership of your choices, you realize that you have the ability to influence your future. This realization is liberating. It allows you to break free from victimhood and take meaningful steps toward a better life. There is also a moral aspect to responsibility. If you refuse to take responsibility for yourself, someone else will have to carry that burden for you. If you refuse to be productive, someone else must compensate for your lack of effort. If you refuse to care for yourself, someone else will have to pick up the pieces. This is not fair. It is not fair to your family, your friends, or society as a whole. Every person who shirks responsibility adds to the weight that others must bear. But if you take responsibility, you not only improve your own life, but you also contribute positively to the lives of those around you. Taking responsibility is not easy. It requires humility, discipline, and the willingness to face hard truths. It requires you to look at yourself honestly and acknowledge where you have fallen short. It requires you to stop making excuses and start making changes. But the alternative, living in denial, blaming others, making excuses, is far worse. A life without responsibility is a life without growth, without progress, and without true fulfillment. If you want to change your life, start by taking responsibility for it. Own your mistakes, take charge of your future, and commit to self-improvement. No one else is coming to save you. No one else will fix your problems for you. It is up to you. And while the path of responsibility is difficult, it is also the only path worth taking. Discipline is the cornerstone of a successful, meaningful life. It is the force that separates those who achieve their goals from those who merely dream about them. It is the ability to do what is necessary even when it is difficult, uncomfortable, or inconvenient. Without discipline, all the talent, intelligence, and ambition in the world amount to nothing. Without discipline, you will remain trapped by your weaknesses, held back by distractions, and unable to build the life you desire. At its core, discipline is about control. Control over your thoughts, emotions, and actions. It is the power to override short-term desires in favor of long-term success. It is the ability to say no to distractions, laziness, and excuses. Many people struggle with discipline because they believe that motivation is the key to success. They wait for inspiration to strike, hoping that one day they will wake up with the energy and enthusiasm to change their lives. But motivation is unreliable. It fluctuates. It comes and goes. If you rely on motivation alone, you will accomplish nothing. Discipline, on the other hand, is constant. It is a choice, a decision you make every day, regardless of how you feel. One of the greatest barriers to discipline is the pursuit of comfort. People want an easy life. They want success without struggle, results without effort, and rewards without sacrifice. But nothing worth having comes easily. Everything valuable, whether it is a strong body, a sharp mind, a fulfilling career, or meaningful relationships, requires effort, patience, and persistence. The world does not hand out rewards to those who avoid difficulty. It rewards those who embrace it. Discipline is the willingness to do the hard things, to endure discomfort, and to push forward when every part of you wants to stop. Developing discipline begins with small choices. People often set grand goals for themselves: losing weight, writing a book, learning a new skill, only to abandon them after a few days or weeks. They become overwhelmed by the size of the task and give up before making any real progress. But discipline is not about massive transformations overnight. It is about consistency. It is about making small, deliberate choices every day that move you closer to your goal. Wake up on time. Exercise for 10 minutes. Read a few pages of a book. Do the work even when you don't feel like it. Over time, these small acts of discipline compound, turning into habits, and habits shape your identity. One of the most important aspects of discipline is mastering your emotions. People who lack discipline often act based on how they feel in the moment. They procrastinate because they don't feel like working. They skip the gym because they don't feel like exercising. They avoid difficult conversations because they don't feel like dealing with conflict. But if you allow your emotions to dictate your actions, you will never achieve anything substantial. Discipline means doing what needs to be done regardless of your feelings. It means understanding that emotions are temporary, but the consequences of your actions are permanent. Discipline is also about eliminating distractions. The modern world is filled with endless sources of entertainment, mindless scrolling, and quick dopamine hits. Every minute spent on meaningless distractions is a minute stolen from your future. People waste hours every day on things that do nothing to improve their lives. Social media, television, video games, gossip, or indulging in negativity. Discipline requires you to be conscious of how you spend your time. If something is not serving your goals, it is working against them. Cut it out. Replace it with something productive. Time is your most valuable resource, and how you use it will determine the quality of your life. Another key to discipline is setting clear goals. Without direction, discipline has no purpose. Many people struggle with discipline not because they are lazy, but because they have no clear target. They drift through life reacting to whatever comes their way rather than deliberately moving towards something meaningful. A goal gives you a reason to be disciplined. It gives your actions meaning. But goals must be specific. Saying you want to be successful or get in shape is too vague. What does success look like? What does getting in shape mean? Define your goals clearly, break them down into actionable steps, and commit to them. Self-discipline also involves learning to delay gratification. In a world where instant gratification is everywhere, patience is rare. People want results now. They want to build muscle in a week, become rich overnight, or master a skill in a few days. But real success takes time. It requires sustained effort over months and years. Discipline means resisting the temptation of short-term pleasure in favor of long-term rewards. It means understanding that every small sacrifice today is an investment in a better future. The ability to delay gratification is one of the strongest predictors of success. Those who can resist immediate pleasure in pursuit of something greater will always outperform those who cannot. Accountability is another powerful tool for discipline. When you hold yourself accountable, you remove the option of failure. You set standards for yourself and refuse to accept anything less. But accountability doesn't have to be done alone. Surrounding yourself with disciplined, driven people can help reinforce your own habits. If you are constantly around people who are lazy, negative, or unmotivated, their mindset will influence you. But if you spend time with people who work hard, who push themselves, and who take responsibility for their lives, their discipline will inspire you to do the same. Choose your environment carefully because it will shape your behavior. Discipline also requires a willingness to fail. Many people avoid taking action because they are afraid of failure. They fear looking foolish, making mistakes, or falling short of their goals. But failure is not the enemy. Inaction is. Every failure is an opportunity to learn, to adjust, and to grow stronger. The most disciplined individuals are not those who never fail, but those who fail repeatedly and keep going. If you avoid failure, you avoid progress. Perhaps the most difficult part of discipline is maintaining it when no one is watching. It is easy to be disciplined when there is external pressure, when you have deadlines, obligations, or the expectations of others. But true discipline is what you do in private. It is waking up early when no one will know if you stayed in bed. It is putting in the extra effort when no one is there to applaud you. It is doing the right thing even when no one is watching. That is where real character is built. Discipline is a lifelong practice. It is not something you achieve once and then forget about. It must be maintained, strengthened, and refined over time. There will be days when you fail, when you slip back into bad habits, when you feel weak. But discipline is not about perfection. It is about persistence. When you fall, you get back up. When you fail, you try again. Every day is a new opportunity to strengthen your resolve, to push yourself further, and to build the kind of life that only disciplined people can have. A disciplined life is not an easy life, but it is a fulfilling one. It is a life of control, of purpose, and of achievement. It is a life where you are not ruled by impulses, distractions, or excuses. It is a life where you set a goal and pursue it relentlessly. It is a life where you become the master of yourself rather than a slave to your weaknesses. Discipline is the price of greatness, and it is a price worth paying. ChatGPT said, "The people you surround yourself with shape the trajectory of your life in ways you may not even realize." Human beings are social creatures, deeply influenced by the behaviors, attitudes, and expectations of those around them. If you consistently spend time with negative, lazy, or destructive individuals, it is nearly impossible to avoid being pulled down by their mindset. On the other hand, if you surround yourself with disciplined, motivated, and ambitious people, they will inspire you to grow, challenge you to improve, and hold you to a higher standard. Many people underestimate the power of their environment. They believe they are independent thinkers. immune to the influence of those around them. But this is rarely true. We adopt the habits, speech patterns, and even the values of the people in our closest circles. If you spend time with people who make excuses, you will begin to make excuses. If you are constantly surrounded by those who complain, you will find yourself complaining more often. If your friends lack ambition, you will slowly begin to lower your own expectations for yourself. One of the greatest dangers of surrounding yourself with the wrong people is that their influence often creeps in gradually. You do not wake up one day and decide to become lazy, unmotivated, or resentful. It happens slowly over time. A friend encourages you to skip your workout just once. A coworker convinces you to slack off at work because no one really cares. A family member criticizes your dreams and tells you to be more realistic. Little by little, these influences add up, and before you know it, you have become someone you never intended to be. It is crucial to take an honest look at the people in your life. Ask yourself, do they push me to be better or do they drag me down? Do they encourage my goals or do they mock them? Are they honest with me or do they enable my bad habits? A good friend is not someone who simply makes you feel comfortable. A good friend is someone who tells you the truth, even when it is hard to hear. A good friend is someone who wants the best for you and is willing to challenge you when you fall short of your potential. Many people stay in unhealthy relationships and friendships out of fear. They worry that if they cut ties with toxic people, they will be alone. But being alone is far better than being surrounded by the wrong people. When you remove negativity from your life, you create space for better relationships to take their place. It may take time, but if you commit to surrounding yourself with high-quality individuals, you will find them. The kind of people you should seek out are those who inspire you. They are the ones who have qualities you admire: discipline, intelligence, kindness, resilience. They are people who challenge themselves, who set goals, who take responsibility for their lives. When you are around these kinds of people, you naturally begin to elevate your own standards. You see what is possible, and you push yourself to reach for more. There is a well-known saying that you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. While this is not a strict rule, there is truth in the idea that your environment shapes your identity. If you surround yourself with people who take their health seriously, you will be more likely to exercise and eat well. If your friends are intellectually curious, you will find yourself reading more, asking deeper questions, and expanding your knowledge. If you associate with individuals who are disciplined and hardworking, you will begin to develop those traits yourself. One of the most valuable aspects of surrounding yourself with the right people is accountability. It is easy to justify bad decisions when you are alone, but when you have people in your life who expect more from you, it becomes much harder to make excuses. A strong circle of friends or mentors will call you out when you are being lazy, remind you of your goals when you lose focus, and celebrate your progress when you achieve something meaningful. This kind of accountability is essential for growth. Seeking out the right people often requires stepping outside of your comfort zone. If your current environment is filled with negativity, you may need to actively seek out new social circles. This can mean joining groups or communities where people share your interests and ambitions. It can mean finding mentors who have already achieved what you aspire to. It can mean cutting ties with people who hold you back, even if that is difficult. Growth often requires sacrifice, and sometimes that sacrifice comes in the form of leaving behind relationships that no longer serve you. It is also important to remember that surrounding yourself with the right people is not just about what you can gain. It is also about what you can give. If you want to be around disciplined, ambitious, and high-quality individuals, you must strive to be one yourself. Be the kind of person who uplifts others, who encourages growth, who supports their friends in becoming the best versions of themselves. When you bring value to others, you naturally attract people who bring value to you. One of the greatest benefits of having the right people in your life is the way they help you navigate challenges. Life is difficult, and no one can succeed entirely on their own. When you face setbacks, when you feel like giving up, when you encounter obstacles that seem insurmountable, the right people will remind you of your strength. They will help you stay focused on your purpose, remind you why you started, and push you to keep going when times get tough. Surrounding yourself with the right people is not about finding a perfect group of individuals who never make mistakes. It is about being with those who are committed to growth, who take responsibility for their lives, and who push themselves and others to be better. These are the people who will elevate you, who will challenge you, and who will support you in your journey. At the end of the day, your environment matters. The people you allow into your life will either propel you forward or hold you back. Choose wisely. Surround yourself with those who inspire you, who challenge you, and who make you want to be better. If you do that, you will find that success, discipline, and personal growth become not just possibilities, but inevitabilities. A meaningful life is not something that simply happens to you. It is something you must actively seek, build, and cultivate. Too many people drift through life without a clear sense of purpose, going through the motions without ever stopping to ask themselves why they are doing what they are doing. They wake up, go to work, come home, and repeat the process day after day, never questioning whether their actions align with something deeper, something truly fulfilling. So without meaning, life becomes empty. Without purpose, even the most comfortable existence feels hollow. Meaning and purpose give structure to life. They provide direction, motivation, and a sense of fulfillment that cannot be found in momentary pleasures or material success alone. People who lack meaning often feel lost, anxious, and unfulfilled, no matter how much money they have or how much comfort they surround themselves with. This is because human beings are not meant to simply exist. We are meant to strive for something greater. Finding meaning and purpose requires deep self-reflection. It is not something that can be handed to you by society, your family, or your friends. You must determine for yourself what truly matters. What are your values? What kind of person do you want to become? What kind of impact do you want to have on the world? All these are not easy questions to answer, and they require honest examination of your beliefs, your desires, and your strengths. But until you do this work, you will remain directionless, moving from one distraction to the next without ever feeling truly satisfied. One of the most effective ways to find meaning is through responsibility. When you take on meaningful responsibilities, whether it be caring for your family, committing to your career, or dedicating yourself to a cause greater than yourself, you create a sense of purpose. Responsibility forces you to rise to the occasion, to become better, to push beyond your limitations. It gives you something to work toward, something that matters beyond your immediate desires. A life without responsibility is a life without substance. It may feel easy, but it is ultimately empty. Meaning is also found in struggle. Many people assume that a meaningful life is one that is free of hardship, but this is a mistake. Some of the most fulfilling moments in life come from overcoming obstacles, from proving to yourself that you are capable of enduring challenges and coming out stronger on the other side. Struggle shapes you. It builds resilience, character, and wisdom. If you avoid struggle, you also avoid growth. People who lack meaning often seek distractions to fill the void. They turn to mindless entertainment, substance abuse, or shallow relationships in an attempt to escape the deeper sense of emptiness they feel. But these distractions are temporary. They may provide short-term relief, but they do not address the real issue. True fulfillment comes not from avoiding life's difficulties, but from facing them head-on and finding meaning within them. Another key aspect of finding purpose is contribution. Human beings are wired for connection, and one of the most fulfilling things you can do is contribute to the well-being of others. This does not necessarily mean you must dedicate your life to charity or humanitarian work, though those are noble paths. It simply means recognizing that your actions impact those around you and striving to be a positive force in the lives of others. Whether it is through your career, your relationships, or your personal endeavors, adding value to the world in some way creates a deep sense of fulfillment. Many people struggle with finding purpose because they believe it has to be some grand, world-changing mission. They assume that unless they are curing diseases, building empires, or becoming famous, their lives lack meaning. But purpose does not have to be extraordinary. It can be found in the small, everyday choices you make. Being a loving parent, a dedicated worker, a loyal friend. These things matter. They may not make headlines, but they create meaning. At the same time, finding purpose often requires setting goals. Without goals, it is easy to drift aimlessly, reacting to life rather than actively shaping it. Goals give you something to strive for, something to wake up for each day. But these goals should align with your values. If you set goals purely based on what others expect of you or what society deems important, you may achieve success but still feel unfulfilled. True purpose comes from pursuing goals that genuinely resonate with who you are and what you believe in. One way to uncover your purpose is to reflect on the moments in your life when you have felt the most alive, the most engaged, the most fulfilled. What were you doing in those moments? What about those experiences gave you a sense of meaning? Often these moments provide clues about what truly matters to you. Another important factor in finding purpose is continuous learning and growth. A stagnant life is an unfulfilling life. If you are not challenging yourself, developing new skills, or expanding your understanding of the world, it is easy to fall into a rut. Growth is an essential part of meaning. It allows you to see new possibilities, discover new passions, and refine your sense of purpose over time. It is also worth noting that meaning and purpose are not things you find once and then hold on to forever. They evolve. As you grow, as your experiences shape you, as your understanding of yourself deepens, your purpose may shift. This is natural. The key is to remain engaged in the process, to continually seek out what is meaningful to you and to have the courage to pursue it. Sometimes people struggle with meaning because they are afraid of failure. They hesitate to pursue something they truly care about because they fear they might not succeed. But failure is not the enemy of purpose. It is a part of the journey. Every meaningful pursuit comes with setbacks, challenges, and difficulties. The difference between those who find fulfillment and those who do not is that the former push through failure rather than allowing it to deter them. Finding meaning also requires patience. In a world that promotes instant gratification, it is easy to feel frustrated when purpose does not reveal itself immediately. But meaning is not something that can be rushed. It takes time, reflection, and experience. Be patient with yourself. Trust that if you continue striving, if you continue searching, if you continue engaging with life in a meaningful way, purpose will emerge. Ultimately, a meaningful life is a life that is lived with intention. It is a life where you take responsibility, where you seek out challenges, where you contribute to others, and where you continually push yourself to grow. It is not an easy life, but it is a fulfilling one. The alternative, a life of aimless wandering, of shallow distractions, of passive existence, is far worse. You must choose to seek meaning. You must choose to take responsibility for your life, to pursue goals that matter, to contribute in ways that fulfill you. If you do this, you will find that even in hardship, even in struggle, even in the face of failure, life remains rich with purpose. And that is a life worth living.